Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 231, Lysis 215d to 216b. Socrates has just made a claim based entirely on an argument from authority, and even worse, actually misquoting the poet Hesiod, that the like is not a friend to the like, and even more so, a good person is most hostile to a good person. The boys evidently don't yet react, as Socrates now continues to make the argument even worse. The person Socrates claims said these things, and who used Hesiod as an authority, continues. Ton gar peneta to plusio anankadzestai philon enai, kaiton asthenei to ischuro tes epikurias heneca, kaiton kamnonta to iatro, kai pantade ton me edota agapan ton edota kai philen. For he says that the poor man is forced to be friendly to the rich, and that the weak man is forced to be friendly to the strong for the sake of help, and that the sick person is forced to be friendly to the doctor, and that everyone who doesn't know is affectionate to and loves the one who knows. This is the first time that Socrates has put both these verbs together, agapan and philen, to be affectionate and to love, suggesting that we see these verbs as two aspects of a particular attitude. We can be affectionate and love at the same time in certain circumstances. The main problem with the claim is that we add affection and love to the notion that we require services from other people which we cannot fulfill ourselves. Is it the case that we are affectionate to and love our doctor, for example? The claim follows only if we treat friendship as a mercenary relationship, which is how Lysis seems to have treated friendship earlier. No one has reacted, so Socrates carries on. Kaide kai eti epexeie to logo megaloprepesteron, legon hos ara pantoste oito homoion to homoio philon enai, al autoto enantion ee tutu. Togar enantiotaton to enantiotato enai malista philon. And moreover, he finishes off the argument quite magnificently, saying that it's far from the case that the like is a friend to the like, but the opposite itself of this, that the most opposite to the most opposite is most friendly. Socrates here is using the neuter singular as a complete philosophical abstraction. He's not talking only about people. This becomes even more obvious when Socrates begins to give his examples. Epithumen gar tu toiutu hekaston. For he says that each thing desires such a thing. In other words, its opposite. Tomen gar xeron higru, tode psychron thermu, tode pikron glukeos, tode oxy ambleos, tode kenon pleroseos, kai to pleres de kenosios, kai tala huto kataton auton logon. For the dry desires the moist, the cold the hot, the bitter the sweet, the sharp the blunt, the hollow or empty the filling up, and the full the emptying, and so also the other things, according to the same reasoning. Trophengar enai to enantion to enantio, togar homoion tu homoiu uden an apolausai. For, he says, the opposite is nourishment for the opposite, for the same takes no advantage from the same, or the like from the like. Kai mentoi o hetaire, kai compsosit oce enai tautalegon, jugar elegen. And indeed, O companion, hetairos, he even seemed clever saying these things, for he said well. We should bear in mind that all of this has been recalled, so he claims, by Socrates, who has only just remembered that he heard someone who said this all the time. These are the sorts of things that a physicos might say, someone who investigates what everything is, where everything comes from, how the world works. The notion that opposites follow opposites, such as night follows day, up follows down, war follows peace, peace follows war, all this is a notion we find in the Physikos Heraclitus, who is most famous for claiming that everything is in flux, but should be as famous for claiming that behind this flux is something stable. Since no one has been reacting, Socrates now has to force the issue. Huminde endego postoke legen. But, I said, how does he seem to you to be speaking? Socrates is talking about this fabricated man. He remembers talking about these things, but he could just as well be asking about Heraclitus himself, because he is the one who made the claims. Euge efe ho Menexenus, hoske hutosia kusai. Well, said Menexenus, to hear him thus, unlike the way Lysis burst into the conversation earlier, Menexenus seems here just to be taking up the slack because Lysis hasn't said anything, and Menexenus appears to be quite happy with what's being said about opposites being friendly. It seems to me that Lysis had wanted him and Menexenus to appear to be the same as friends, but now Menexenus is taking over and is happy that they are different. This is the first thing that Socrates wants to confirm. For men ara to enantion to enantio malista philon enai? Panuge. Are we to say then that the opposite is most friendly to the opposite? Absolutely. Eien endego uk allokaton o Menexene, kai minuthus asmenoi epipedesontai hutoi hoi passophoi andres hoi antilogikoi, kai eresontai ei uk enantiotaton echthra philia, hois ti apokrinumetha, uk ananke homologen hoti alethe legusin? Ananke? Well then, I said, isn't it strange, Menexenus? And immediately, with great joy, those all-knowing men, the antilogikoi, the disputatious, will attack us, will jump on us, and will ask if hostility isn't most opposite to friendship. What shall we reply to them? Isn't it necessary to agree that they're telling the truth? It's necessary. It's interesting that with Menexenus, Socrates returns to eristics, the antilogikoi, the people who argue the opposite, are to be identified with the eristikoi, the ones who argue the opposite in arguments in order to beat an opponent by making the audience laugh. At the moment, Socrates isn't even attempting to make the audience laugh, but he is using eristic arguments. What helps him to make heuristic arguments is the fact that they are using extremes. If the claim is that the most opposite is friendly to the most opposite, it's easy to choose as examples things like hostility and friendship, which are opposites, and the claim is then obviously absurd. Hostility and friendship are not the best of friends, to say the least. Ar un Thesusin to echthronto philo philon, e to philonto echthro. Udetera efe. So they'll say, is the hostile friendly to the friendly, or is the friendly friendly to the hostile? Neither, he said. Menexenus, the 12-year-old great expert on eristics, knows how not to get caught in eristics. If he chooses one of those options, he will become a laughingstock. This is how he thinks. While simply denying both options should allow him to escape. The only problem is that in eristics, you're not allowed to deny both options. These are the only options available. You have to choose one of them. The idea is that the general public will hear that there are these two options, and if you simply deny both options, you're simply trying to escape becoming a laughingstock, which is exactly what Menexenus is trying to do. His attempt to avoid becoming a laughingstock is automatic, and he hasn't thought through the actual questions. While the hostile can't possibly be friendly to the friendly, he should have considered the possibility that the friendly can still be friendly even to someone who is hostile to him. While Menexenus and Lysis seem to think of a friend as someone who can be of use to oneself, a true friend may actually be someone who is prepared to be of use to someone else, which is in fact the same position. It's the friend who is the one who is beneficial. It's just that Menexenus and Lysis see the friend in the other person, while, for example, Socrates sees the friend in himself.